Good morning, Virgin Islands, and this bright sunny day in paradise, November 11th, 2025. It's Veterans Day, it's a federal holiday, but we're here in the studio of WSTX 970 AM, the number one radio station in the Caribbean. And I would like to welcome you to At the Table with Crucian Educator. This is a 1 hour radio talk show, and Tuesdays, 8 to 9 a.m. And today I have two distinguished Virgin Islanders here in the studio as my guests. Topic is going to be pertaining to digital technology and constitution. So we have two knowledgeable individuals. After their presentation, perhaps you have opportunity to call in and voice your opinions or give your views. Knowledge is power. Facts can be verified, but everybody's entitled to an opinion, a thought, a belief, a theory, a perspective, a point of view. However, as I said, facts can be verified. So, once again, welcome to At the Table with Crucian Educator.
Crucian Board of Career Education and Modern Boards. Josh, and good morning to all of our, especially good morning to all of our listeners.
Well,
Glad
we
to
do
be
it on a
here.
rotation basis. You go first, then you will present.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Okay, great. Well, I'm really happy to be here. You know, for now, I always feel at home. As we always say,
Yes.
WSTX, I feel like
You're
it's home.
educators.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to say I'm just really glad to be here. I am here today in the capacity as the executive director of the Virgin Islands Board for Career Education. I'm really happy to be here and, of course, joined by our secretary, Mr. Anthony Martinberg Jr. It's a really great day. And just wanted to say that also, this even our launch efforts, we, as Secretary Martinberg and most of the board members have worked on, we really plan to really elevate CTE, build awareness of
Yes.
career education, which was previously known for many, many years, decades, as vocational education.
Okay.
That's now centered on our children essentially being put on a pathway that, you know, every child
Okay.
being a CTE student.
Right.
Yes.
Every child is expected to receive a certification, a CTE,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
Correct?
In some form.
Yes.
Yes, because I remember when the Commissioner of Education and the superintendents were here, it was
Yes.
mentioned, and at first I didn't know what's CTE.
Mhm.
Yeah, you
Get-
know, we know vocational because back historically,
Yeah.
you know what vocational education was back when you were a teacher over the years.
And so there is a board, and you are the
Yes.
director.
Yes, I am now.
And on the board, you have a secretary, a treasurer,
A chair, vice chair.
and you are
I'm the secretary.
secretary. So
Yes.
welcome, Anthony.
Yes, thank you. I've been serving as secretary since May, so it's been an interesting journey serving as an executive member of the board. I think one of the things that I've grown for sure serving in the board is because prior to this, I've never really had any government experience besides attending public schools, and so my exposure to seeing how things move slow. It's a lot of networking that has to be done.
Right.
And so I got exposed to that serving on the board and trying to make sure that the connections I have to push CTE forward is strong. And so that's one of the learning lessons I've learned. But I enjoy serving as secretary. I think it's a rewarding experience. And I think everyone should admire the fact that you have a place anywhere in the Virgin Islands to serve in, no matter your age. And I end up serving on the board, by just a quick story. I didn't even know if this was going to be something I was going to end up doing. I actually spoke to the governor at last year's Workforce Development Summit. And I told him, Governor Brand, I know you have a bunch of boards, I know you have vacancies that need to be filled. I want to serve on a board. He said, send me an email. Sent him an email. I was like, okay, I don't think I would ever get a response back. Well, I got a response back. 2 weeks later, the governor's staff reached out to me and was like, the governor wants to nominate you for board of career tech. Sent the information, and here I am. So it's been a pleasure serving the past 6 months.
So the members of the board
Yes,
are appointed. They are all appointed.
yes, all appointed. Yes.
Unlike the board of elections.
No, those are
So-
all elected.
Would it be a conflict of interest? It doesn't appear to me, but I'm just asking the questions. If you were to be on the elected board of education and still continue to serve on that appointed board?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think it would be a conflict. The only thing that would be a conflict is if I was to work for the Department of Education. I can't serve on
Right.
the boards because that's a conflict of interest. But if I serve on an elected board, that doesn't really affect what I'm doing on this particular
Because
board.
interesting enough, there are a number of individuals who different various persons serve on boards. But even, for example, there's various legislation really speaking to, for example, we have, like, for example, the Workforce Development Board made up of various private sector individuals, but they also governmental people that serve from time to time. Like, for example, we've had one of our board members, immediate past chair, Dr. Michael Francois, has served in the capacity in the workforce board, and we have former secretary, current board member, who's the director of UBISL, Dr. Susan Darrow McGrath, who has served on the Workforce Development Board, as well as she served on the apprenticeship council. She actually was the chair of the apprenticeship council. So there are various individuals who serve on multiple boards, and I can definitely say with the Board of Elections, we need to look at some synergies around civics, even interconnected to career education. We want a career-minded child. We focus also on their social, social development, which ties into youth leadership. So it's all we're basically, and Secretary Martin, but we're about collaboration, synergizing,
for sure.
And we're very focused on reform. And I really appreciate the fact that the members of both the board and other stakeholders have respect us, and in the context that we're going to really be lifting CT up in new ways. So it's about evolution, moving forward.
Well, it sounds exciting, and that you have a team now appears to be working.
Yes, because new blood has finally entered the conversation, and and I like to tell people it's not necessarily a bad thing. CTE was moving. I just always tell people I felt it was moving too slow. And we are at a position where, we have students who are dropping out of school left and right even more, especially now with the integration of technology and AI, and they feel that, oh, well, I need to go to school when I could just look up this on Google and find the answers, right? So, or
and
AI
get rich quick.
Yes, so
TikTok,
we have an opportunity now to move CTE, especially with the integration of technology. Stop wasting time, because the world is not waiting on us to get ready. The world is not waiting on us to catch up. We have to be ready. And so it's about moving CTE forward and being aggressive in doing so, even if people's feelings get hurt. Because I care about the children on the Virgin Islands. I am a career certified individual. I'm certified in tourism and business at CTEC. And by the way, I'm the first member of the board that actually went to CTEC. And so that's one of the reasons why the governor even appointed me on the board, is because he wanted me to bring a perspective to the board.
And elaborate what's CTEC.
Yeah, so CTEC is the Career and Technical Education Center on St. Croix. So that's the campus that all of the main CTEC courses happen. So you have your hospitality and tourism, you have your business, you have your welding, you have your electrical, all of those different courses occur there. And then the alternate on St. Thomas will be the Raphael Skills Center. That will be the alternate.
If a student is attending Central High School, they also have the opportunity to go to CTEC.
So use most of the CTE programs. This from my experience. I don't know if it's changed
I want to say
recently.
one thing for just to note, because one of the things that so Central High does have a few courses. So
Yes.
actually, what I've done every year,
Mhm.
we really coordinate, and I've been especially pushing a little bit more harder, where we actually obtain all the programs. So we have CTE programs at the elementary, middle school, and high school
Okay.
levels. But of course, as Secretary Mortimer explained, we have the two main centers in
Mhm.
St. and St. Thomas and Down
Okay.
districts,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
As we so one of the things that we're trying to push forward is really the integration of CTE within the curriculum,
Yes.
and such that we're getting CTE programs and courses,
Yes.
classes in the lower grades. So I've been actually that's part of my agenda has been actually meeting with all principals.
Yes.
I even yesterday met with the director of YRC. I mean, I'm talking about bringing in
Okay.
stakeholder alternative
Yeah.
education across the
That's what we
districts,
need.
all of
Mhm.
that.
Collaboration.
Everyone. And then of course we have our collaboration with the Board of Education, the Department of Education, Department of Labor, the Workforce Development Board, the Apprenticeship Council, all these various entities that make up workforce.
Okay,
Yes.
so one of the prepared questions I had was, do you believe that the Virgin Islands of the United States could become a leader in digital technology in the Caribbean, and how you think you could facilitate this endeavor? Because I'm thinking with all of what you just said, I'm thinking too with that new school
Yes.
that's underway on St. John,
Yes.
and that could also, talking digital,
Mhm.
it could be really a force to be reckoned with. It could be more, you could extend virtual learning so that you have not just students
Mhm.
attending that reside on the island, but we have other islands here.
And
Mhm.
and it's already been codified. CTE virtual learning is already in the code. In other words,
Oh, it is?
have we
Okay.
so it's not but it's to be enacted now.
So
And
how
it's-
you
and I
think you could
it's huge.
facilitate?
Well, as Secretary Martin has come on the board, he's been made aware because right because last year we were working
Yeah.
heavily. At the board, I was working actually with the board. I no longer served as of August of last year, and I actually decided to help the board in another way, which was actually helping the board to obtain funding for the digital literacy funding that was out there. That was out there, right?
Oh,
you
We
see
had
my
the
book.
version of Next Generation, yes, and I want to highlight my youth organization as well.
I'm so proud.
Yeah, one of our first set of board members and one of our and essentially we had Virgin's Next Generation Network had funding. You had Office of Management and Budget, the BEAD grant funding, all of this funding that our entity, the board, as well as other governmental entities, private sector individuals, we were going to pour into that and pour into our schools. But
Mhm.
politically, what do we have? We have the Trump, I'm very loud about the President Trump administration essentially axed that funding. Good news, though, is that one of my first meetings I've had as executive directors, that I did meet with Director Reimer, and so I'm staying in communication with OMB around if there's any funding to support infrastructure, because our biggest, we have plans to actually establish digital labs in our schools,
Mhm.
and then we have it's called Transfer VR goggles, where exploration learning. We plan to purchase a lot more of them so we can get exploration learning into our schools. Interesting enough, we discovered these Transfer VR goggles at a Skills USA conference.
Mhm.
And I attended the conference because my thing about, and Secretary Martin Board knows this very well, if I'm going to that conference, it's to bring
Yes.
stuff back. I don't necessarily travel for the sake of traveling. Because I was known to that. I bring stuff back even when I work for elections. We have to bring back. So I was happy to actually, we had met with a vendor, brought that back. So now where we are now, we still have to do the digital learning. We still have to build it out. We still need an actual digital standardized digital literacy curriculum for the Virgin Islands, for the education system.
Well, you sound like y'all have your work cut out, but how you would facilitate that concept of us being a leader here in the Caribbean in digital technology education?
First off, and I've always said this as a policy wager, you can't draft policy if you haven't experienced or at least learned about what is being affected or what is at stake, right? And so one of the things that the board that I've been encouraging them behind the scenes, and you Whitaker don't even notice, but some of the members were challenging this whole integration of new technology.
Mhm.
And I told them, but we have to move forward with the integration of technology, not only for efficiency, but for privacy and security of the board's matters. I mean, there's just
Mhm.
certain things that the public can't be accessible to seeing due to the nature of its content. But we're using platforms that weren't recognized. We were spending money in places that we could have saved money. And so as a board, we had to first realize that integration of technologies wasn't necessarily a bad thing. And so what we did was, prior to Edie Whitaker becoming the executive director, um, I had an email. I didn't even know we were paying for the email. I come to find out a few months in that all the members were paying for the email. Ms. Whitaker came in a few weeks, and immediately you guys now have free emails with all of this access. So it's just guiding the members to understanding that
Mhm.
even when you leave Earth, technology will be here. It will always be here, and it's always growing and
Evolving.
evolving.
Yes.
Like when I was a child in elementary school, I didn't even know AI was gonna be a thing 20 years from now when I was in elementary school. And so, it's trying to guide them into drafting policy
Mhm.
that matches up with how we're moving in
You gotta
technology.
keep up with the
Exactly, we
technology.
have to keep up with it, and that's another thing that I'm trying to work on with my colleagues on the board is oversight. Like we're talking about, we want to have cybersecurity, we want to have computer science, we really want to hone in on those skills, which is great, but we have to have the oversight aspect of it. We can't say we want this to be implemented, but then we don't check in with the department to make sure it's being done.
Well, I
And
see
so,
like you have different agencies and departments
Exactly.
have to be
yes, and
coordinated.
exactly, because the board's main responsibility is to provide oversight and draft policy and implement and get them to implement the policy. That's what we do, and certify teachers, instructors. That's what we do. And so it's more of the board finally realizing that you have teeth.
Mhm.
Use it. No, can we have more teeth? Absolutely, but use the ones we do have. And technology is really important, and I feel the reason why it wasn't being pushed, in my opinion, was because a lot of the members themselves wasn't adapting the use
Well,
of it constantly.
interestingly, because I think what we have here is technophobia
Yes.
in the territory, and it's a transition
Mhm.
from the traditional way of communication,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and fear people
Well,
fear of the unknown.
but there's been support for it. Good example. So my youth
Uh-huh.
organization, the Virgin Islands Youth Advocates Coalition, which I co-founded,
Yes.
a lot of young people,
Mhm.
and Anthony's one of our partners in this effort. He's supported the board, and we support each other's organizations. And essentially, AARP and even AARP Virgin Islands,
Uh-huh.
when I actually years ago served as an associate state director of communications,
Uh-huh.
through my leadership, we launched a digital literacy, which I did with the members across the Virgin Islands,
Uh-huh.
right?
Mhm.
And it was just taking the initiative. AARP itself had the resources for me to make it happen, right? For me to have the resources to help the seniors, and in my own, my own authentic act, what I added to it.
Mhm.
And then, come many, years later now, I said, well, there's now a grant program. It's
Mhm.
called ARP Community Grant. They said one of the areas, is actually to advance and help our seniors throughout the country in digital technology and literacy.
Mhm.
We applied, we got the grant, and I want to thank you,
Mhm.
Mardell, one of our
Founding father.
yeah, basically,
Mother, I mean,
yeah,
founding mother.
one of our first set of inaugural members. I want to thank all the seniors we had, and even her support for the program. Thank you very much. Because in order for us to even have,
And we have to continue
yeah.
to keep that
So what I'm
momentum.
saying is that
Yeah.
there've been you've had, and even ARP at one point, even after my tenure there, they
Mhm.
also have launched a series of digital literacy to the staff and everything like that as I communicate with them. And I do want to thank ARP Virgin Islands as well for the support. Not only we got the grant by ARP national, but we also got some of the funding for ARP Virgin Islands.
Mhm.
Director Disha Schuster, thank you very much, and your team. And I saw that to say now we need to standardize it, right? As I was
Right.
saying before, And so we have two people in the Department of Education that go to the state and local level and all that
Mhm.
are responsible for curriculum. So what we are doing, I'm actually working on a meeting that should happen either by next week
Mhm.
with the curriculum folks. I already had initial meetings with the
Okay.
local curriculum
So it
director.
has to be
So
our curriculum
well, what we need is an
to be
actual,
updated.
we need a massive curriculum, a big curriculum committee with all the stakeholders.
Uh-huh.
And then we divided, as me and Secretary Martin discussed with even Dr. Faulkner. She's my basically my colleague in the context of we work together between the board and the Department of Education.
Yes.
She's the state director, Dr. Monique Faulkner. So we're meeting actually this week, to mull out and how we basically are going to execute a curriculum. I would even say a curriculum, not just the plan itself,
Mhm.
but a curriculum initiative, which is going to involve a lot of people.
Yes.
For example, when we had the new schools, remember the new schools tour? Remember the new schools committee that held all those meetings as they were, coming up with the plans for the
Yes.
schools.
Mhm.
That's the same thing we're going to do with curriculum. We have a lot of work to do with curriculum, and that needs to be a major effort. We're talking about a massive effort that's going to churn out multiple standardized. We're definitely include at the core our instructors.
Mhm.
So
Who are the core,
well,
yes.
y'all have the energy, but
Yeah.
I went back to
Yes,
the technophobia example. Why I'm saying that
Mhm.
is we have advanced in terms of election reforms, and we
Yep.
have tabulators. We went from counting manually ballots
Mhm.
to a tabulator, which is essentially an electronic device for counting.
Yes.
So it's speed and accuracy are both involved. And
Mhm.
yet you have folks who want to go backwards to counting manually. And all I could think of is the fear, the
Mhm.
fear of technology, because there isn't going to be any more, and this is fact, this is not an opinion, any more a more accurate count if you do it manually. And a fact, it's going to take longer.
But the issue of manual that goes back to the election under the second President Bush administration, wherein we had the issue in Florida with
Yeah,
the
that's
punch
why we're
card
here,
situation, and then federal government created the Election Assistance Commission, for which me and Supervisor Fox served on, and then I was elected to one of my first one of my main elections in terms of a public body, and essentially I was on the standards board, so I was very involved with the standards of this country with me and the other members. So we're talking about advancements. We're talking about moving away from the paper
progress.
because so it's really our country. It's really sad to know because there's so many places in the world, and we can look to even Europe. We've looked at countries like Estonia, which I've been to, where their government supported digital literacy because they invested in that, and they didn't move away from the election becoming more and more advanced, as an example. So what we have to focus on the security, on educating folks about the process, but to move us back to paper, and anybody who supports and move back to paper is wrong. What the folks who are concerned about how the election is going,
manual counting, because
we need to support.
We need to be paperless, period. Right? We still using paper.
Yeah, we still have, people would always have.
We did not get. We got rid of the subtronic, which you didn't use paper, but some people are misled to think that we need to go back to paper ballot. No, we do have paper ballot. It's going into a tabulator. Now, has the law been nullified to put it into a box and not the use of the tabulator? Because it seems to be on the board of election, there's confusion. They're asking the Attorney General. The Attorney General is ignoring them.
What it is that the federal government, and anytime there's federal laws, and then the Supreme Court weighing in on that matter, right? Even if we decide not to update our laws, guess what the Supreme Law becomes? So we're dealing now with a situation where our equipment and so on falls under a federal system,
yes,
and those federal laws and policies, the Code of Federal Regulations, what the
supersede local laws.
So what we have to do then is work with our legislature to update it. But the thought about the ballot box and all those things, it's a matter of of addressing the legislation.
Mhm.
But right now, if we decide to put it into a ballot box, we are violating the federal law
Mhm.
that moved us to mandate that whatever system you purchase, whatever you all invest in, you
Mhm.
have to use a method by which it's for. In other words, how the ESNS voting machines work,
Right.
we have to use it in the manner that it's supposed to be used, because
Mhm.
it's also certified. There's a whole other scientific, and there's a whole other committee that deals with the science
I
of the
understand
machine.
because
So,
I am not
so-
on the board of
Mhm.
elections. However, I do keep up with federal laws, and
Mhm.
apparently, you still have board members want to get an opinion from the Attorney General.
so going back,
There is no way we are going back.
so what I encourage, this is really important as to why I really want to see how we can get civic education within the school.
Yes, you
Mhm.
definitely
And
need
incorporate that into, even if we're here today about
education.
CTE,
Yes.
because I think that even matters of elections, matters of, and even to that, let's talk about science. Science is a career in the CTE program. We need to lift that up,
Okay.
lift up the sciences, lift up information technology.
Yes,
Mhm.
science, what is it called? Computer
Was it
science.
computer science? So at the lower
Is it a
levels,
different name now? Is it
well,
still,
for the elementary and middle school, we still say computer
Computer
science,
science.
got to take a computer
Okay.
science class. But of course, once they, reach
High school
and
usually
tech,
say information
and
technology.
information technology, and then
so
and then
is it
courses.
required to take computer science in elementary?
From what I understand, yes. I mean, for the it is
One
it
of the
is-
schools we went to
Yes, it
said
is.
that they have to do it for 6th grade and I think 8th grade or
Yes,
something like that.
that's
5th
correct.
grade, yeah.
And that you have that also at Freeway Baptist School?
We do computer. The students do computers as electives, but high school is a requirement. You have to do, and we don't even call it computer anymore for our high school. We call it technology.
Technology.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
my
they have to do
last
it.
guest
That's right.
made an interesting point. My last guest was Gustav James, and
okay.
he suggested that one of the requirements for graduation from the high school should be being able to create a website. I thought that was very
It's surprising you said that because
interesting.
on my educator side of things, that's what my students are doing right now. In hospitality and tourism, they have to make a website, so they have to come
Okay.
with a business name. They're actually doing. We're in the marketing and promotions aspect of tourism. So I teach tourism at Free Will. It's not a program, but it's just an elective I do because I'm certified in it. And they didn't know what other elective to put, and so they asked me, and I said, okay. So this is the second time I'm doing it at Free Will. But one of the chapters we're doing is marketing and promotions, and it's exactly that. Learning how to market, learning how to use different mediums. And so they have the first project they're doing, which is actually due on Friday, is a cereal box project. So they have to make their own cereal box, they have to market it, they have to find a target audience, all that stuff. Then their next project, which is due on next week, Monday, they have to make a commercial. And so they have to do a 30 to 60 seconds commercial for an active Syncor business. So they have to
Wow.
go to those businesses, ask those individuals, do you mind if we get some visuals of your establishment, whatever the case may be, to doing the commercial. And the businesses are going to send a representative on Monday next week to watch the commercials to see how the
Wow,
students done.
that's
And then 2 weeks from now, which will be the 24th, 25th, is when the website is due. And so right now we're going through the process of what should be on your website: logo, name, all of the different things. And so it's important. It's important that our students are exposed to these things, because we have people who have access to the resources, but they don't want to use it or don't want to learn how to use it. And so, if you know better, you show better and you do better.
But the
And so
younger
that's what I'm
ones,
trying to
they
do.
seem like they're born with a microchip in their head, so
And they're
they
more
come
advanced.
already, and
you know, and
they're not
Yep.
afraid.
And that's the next thing, is that a lot of then I keep telling people, these children know more about technology
Yeah.
than we
They
will
do.
ever do,
They do.
because they're born into it. I had to learn technology.
Exactly.
They
Born
really gotta
into
learn
it.
that. All the
And that's what we got to push the soft skills, because as much as also too as many of the students do know technology,
Mhm.
I work on the other end, which is on, are you ready? Do you have the soft skill? Do you understand how to use the system?
Exactly.
Right. So you know, do you know all the tools? So yeah, you have a Gmail account, but do you know the Google platform? Right.
Mhm.
You have a Microsoft, your Hotmail Outlook account. Do you know the
to use it.
Microsoft platform? Do you know in terms of collaborating? And then, I always forget this. I never could forget this situation involving my own child and essay, and I needed to bring the essay to school, and I was like, but it's in your behind the from education folder for your essays for this class for this grade. Why can't your teacher get it? Is she not? So even to that. So we have to transform education.
Technophobia.
In fact, we're still look at the school supply list. Why do we see notebooks? I'm not saying you don't get a notebook, but a notebook for every class. Why don't we transform the children into using digital tools? For example, OneNote. I'm a very big proponent of that. The Department of Education is on the Microsoft system, so they should be, and in fact, they should learn about the applications as the students who are pursuing information technology careers. They learn how to build them. All of that, how it works, but use it to its fullest. We shouldn't wait till we have another pandemic. I don't think God will have another pandemic. It should take a pandemic. It shouldn't take a crisis to say, well, we have to go online because we can't see each other.
Proactive.
We should now be proactive in a sense, in the context of getting away from paper and getting started with our children. If we're telling them we're in a digital world, but we're still having them do all this writing.
I think we're before our time because I recall when I was a GED facilitator, I had the students, I had by text, I could have checked the assignment by text, send me your answers because everything is a booklet and it's standardized ABC. Send me in your test, your homework assignment. I could grade it one time and send it back to you. But I was just using text message. So we didn't reach the point with the email, but I don't understand why it's not the use of the cell phone. Instead of seeing it as a weapon, see like it's being seen as a weapon of mass destruction. How about educational tool and incorporating it into the lesson?
Correct. Now you could say, if your phone should reflect. You should be able to get anything you need.
Yes.
I mean, I
use it to full capacity. So many features on a cell phone.
Yes.
Have your OneDrive so you can have easy access. Have it where you could actually have your books on there, so your ebooks and all that. I mean, really on your task. I'm very big about this whole task orientation. We had to get people into like organizational management should be from preschool. Be like how you organize your day and how you go about it.
Right.
And that does involve technology. Because you can make lists. We all have phones. We have different things. Do we use our reminders? Do we use our calendars effectively? All of that is something that we also have to teach. We can't just assume that someone's going to know that.
Work with AI because the AI can help you create an essay, but then ask the students to come in from the class and give an oral presentation. AI can't help you then. So I mean, work with the technology. So how you think, what recommendations do you all have to incorporate digital technology in every agency and department of this government, not just educational, department education, but what ideas or recommendations you have to incorporate? I know we head in that direction, but any other ideas?
I would just say, first of all, require it, period. If you take it from the lens of, oh, this is something we should do, and this is something we should get done, many people are going to resist that because they're comfortable of what they're doing. And so sometimes you're going to have to just say, no, we're requiring this moving forward. So starting there. And then secondly, having programs, bringing in people to teach people how to use the stuff, because that'll be the next thing. Oh, well, I don't mind doing it, I just don't know how to do it. So then you don't have to get rid of that excuse, because it's always going to be an excuse. There's going to always be people who are going to resist. And so bring in the professionals. You can even bring in the students from UVI that are doing information technology to come and
actually,
teach.
Actually, two of my students, the
grandma's asking the grandchildren to show them how to use it.
The students who help train, support and even train our students, two of whom our IT students.
Yes.
Someone else lift up the students. I thank them for their work.
Exactly.
But I want to chime in to say that,
Mhm.
and I want to lift up Senator Samuel Carrion.
Yes, for the,
So-
the Active Pass
Yes.
Idea Act, I think it's called.
But no, particularly for, yes, correct, and that was his. He wanted his measure in his previous
Previous
legislature,
yeah.
where in fact, 35th, where he pushed forward
Mhm.
digital a digital requirement, like in other
Mhm.
words, moving the government
Mhm.
into the digital space, which
Mhm.
is an extent, which is interesting enough, almost going to be about 18 years now.
Mhm.
The Virgin Islands government and governors of that period was supposed to stand up a board to deal with moving us into technology. Imagine 18 years ago, we had, and that's why some of the senators, past two were visionaries, right?
Mhm.
So about 18 years ago, they said, Governor, go ahead and appoint your basically a technology board. Is
Mhm.
a more legal term in terms of what the legislation actually says.
Yes.
So just to make it simple, it's create your technology board, bring together all your technology folks, and guess what? I've spoken to at least now a couple of governors,
Mhm.
right? Lieutenant governors. Are y'all going to move this forward? Can we get this technology board because you already have the technology?
Yeah,
Don't we have
sometimes it's there on paper, but they don't.
You
Like
can-
you said, you can put it on paper too. Like I
Mhm.
recall,
But
Carlton Dow.
uh-huh.
Did he mandate by legislation the e-books? You call that
Mhm.
legislation? That
I didn't know that.
it's
Yeah, I
that
didn't know
being
That's interesting.
implemented.
I gotta look that up.
Yeah, look it up.
Yeah,
It
no,
was during
Okay.
Governor Snyder
Oh,
time.
wow, okay. Look
The
at
e-book.
so there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So we've been on this journey for quite some
Yes.
time.
Mhm.
It's now just the implementation part
Yeah.
now. So we have to, as we look at leadership and support them and work with them.
Mhm.
But even his legislation was vetoed. So Senator Carrion's measure was vetoed. And I
It
Mhm.
think
was vetoed.
yes, by
Really?
Governor Bryan. But then his assertion, of course, Governor and the administration was the difficulty with implementing it.
Yeah.
I say start small, because I even give an example. Marine environmental science is something that I pushed historically when
Yeah.
I served in office.
Mhm.
Yesterday, there was a Senator Lorenzo,
Frederick,
Lorenzo Frederick, and essentially what it was that when it came to Department of Planning and Natural Resources, DPNR, they are pushing forward a marine environmental education, but they supported the measure. And marine environmental science is something that we also need to standardize as to why we need the actual curriculum. So going back into the curriculum discussion, there's a lot of curricula that is missing from our education system,
Mhm.
and we need to focus on that, redo like how we approach education, how we encourage the children, get into the career path, have a career path for every child. We know what their
Yes.
career path is on paper, working with their counselors, working with their teachers, instructors, and we move that way. But if we continue to do this kind of cookie cutter, kind of like, well, everyone
It's
should learn,
disjointed. I think it just all the
same.
minds
Mhm.
Yeah, we have
need to come together.
yeah.
Which is what we said at the our hearing. So
Yeah.
we had the opportunity to testify at Senator Angel Bocus's culture, youth, sports, arts hearing the other day, the 31st. And that was part of the conversation about what I said when I testified. Having the issue is that everybody's not in the room at a constant basis. Is that everybody's operating in silos and
Yeah.
this person doing this thing, this person doing this
Right.
thing, and not only are we not communicating, but we're wasting money doing
Mhm.
it. And so it just makes sense for us to have the conversation, have the resources, pull it together. Oh, you have money in digital literacy? Okay, well, let's work with you. I have the personnel, you have the money. Let's work together, form
Yeah.
this proposal between sign a memorandum of understanding between our agencies. Let's work together and let's push this program. I'm not seeing that. And and I will give Edie Whitaker her credit. She's starting to fix that. From the director's standpoint of working on the board, and then on my standpoint as member of the board is pushing. Prime example, the communications committee. I've been on the board for the past 6 months, and the committee hasn't met, at least to my knowledge.
Mhm.
And so those one of the things that I'm trying to fix. I mean, if we're going to bridge communications
Mhm.
and networking, we have having the stakeholders. It has to be constant. It can't just be a one meeting conversation. It needs to be an ongoing discussion, and that will fix a lot of the issues we have, because a lot of times it's not a matter of not having support. It's just the matter of the people who would support you not knowing what you're doing.
Right.
And so that's where the communication aspect comes in. Having those conversations, having those stakeholders. Like tomorrow is going to be a huge day for career and technical education. We have the bill about the technical college is going to be heard tomorrow in the legislature, and the stakeholders are going to be here. And so that's another opportunity besides the legislation for us to hone in on our networking and to share the ideas we have, the proposals we have, and actually get to implement these projects that we've been talking about for years. We've passed the point of talking.
It's action.
It's time for us to actually get it done.
Yeah.
And work together to get it done. And if that means you have the resources in staff, I have the resources in money, I have the resources in marketing, whoever has whatever resources,
Right.
use it.
Right.
Because if we don't, we're just wasting money. And we barely have any money to waste in the first place.
Bring your
Especially for
talents
CTE.
together. Well, that reminds me to what's happening with the 6th Constitutional Convention.
Yes.
It seemed disconnected from the public. Yes, they might have been meeting, and we see that they convent. I said we got a trick, not a treat, on Halloween, because my anticipation, that's the deadline to submit the document. And at this point, only for a few of us out there keeping that fire burning. Most people are so nonchalant about this.
So we go back to, I do want to lift up, definitely Secretary Imani Daniel.
Yes.
Also delegates,
Good for
Rudel Hodge,
and Rudel Hodge.
So they have lifted up these young, two of the two youngest members.
Yeah.
There's another young lady as well who serves. Thank you very much. Akima also lifted up her up as well. So essentially, they have encouraged and worked with the elders on the board, older folks, so that they can actualize communication. So we do get the newsletters from Secretary.
I get them.
Secretary.
But
Daniel,
I'm saying there's not connection to the general public.
But what they need to do is to do a lot more interviews. When we talk about even today,
what we're doing today,
we're launching our radio tour. I am getting, the same thing. I believe in communications and getting out there. We have to spread the word. Even I also want to share this time that's important for folks to know that our board meets every third Wednesday of the month. We have done so for 5 years. Because me, not just me alone, the board, we agreed.
And it's open to the public.
It is open to the public. So right now,
I have to get the link.
So right now,
send me the link so I can.
So those of you tuning in, if you are also already on social and Facebook, you can go to the Virgin Islands Board, Career and Education Board. It's on Facebook. As well, we also put out information as well.
And you have a website.
Yes, the ITCD. Well, let's want to say that we're gonna. I want to give out two things you need to say because we are transitioning. We're gonna actually be launching our website, which will be bibcte.vi.gov. Which is under construction. We'll be launching that in a couple weeks. And you can go right now to bictv.org for the website that's active. So basically, I want folks to save both addresses, but in the meantime, you can follow us on Facebook, and then also reach out to us as well.
And you have to be, like you said, on the radio because a lot of people are not they're going through that transition. This new generation, by the next 20 years, it will be like second hand to them, second nature. But remember now, we have this older generation that's not comfortable with the technology. So they're not going to go. I get the newsletter. They're not going to go up and look it up. So have y'all actually seen the work done by the Standing Committee of Education and Public Information? Have you seen?
I haven't heard much. And one of the things that I'll just say is this is something I'm working with my board as well. Because we meet virtual all the time, which is great, but we need to have in-person meetings also. I think it's about time.
Definitely.
This is not COVID anymore. We need to alternate.
But the purpose of the working meetings, is for the work to happen. I mean, it's something that we need actual working committees as well. Like, who can you meet, right? But what did you do to the meeting? So what I'm doing as director, I'm working with the board to get them back into a meeting schedule.
Yes.
I'm telling them, my members, that I serve on that, that I serve under, is that what we're doing here is that the reason why we have all these meetings and the way we could structure it, there's many tools now. You have this polls and all that, which developed many years ago. So we even have, again, go back to the Microsoft platform with our own tools.
Right.
We set up polls, and I do that. So, and that goes back into your calendar. I think accountability is really important, and really, and that goes throughout the whole version. I was like, if you don't use your calendar right now, and even let's say you're using your planner, paper planner, what have you, I'm really encouraging folks to use your planner. You have has a phone, you have a calendar, put your dates in, come up with your information, and then that's how you can effectively use it. If somebody sends you a booking link, or send you the poll, rather, you're able to, the technology works, all your times are blocked off, and then the technology is helping you, the whole apparatus is helping you then to basically book the time for you. Like, you'll know what your available times are. We have to get into that. I'm saying that where you get efficiency and all that, and that's why Europe in particular, why they're able to have their, they work.
Some countries, some nations are totally digitalized.
Correct. You have to go for 2-hour lunches some places, and you even have where
United States
they do not 40-hour weeks. And I guess
Uh-huh.
those places, I'm telling you, they're very technical.
Yeah.
But I've been to them. So what it is that, and so what I'm getting at is that we're going to be able to, I'm trying to tell folks that productivity is going to increase such that now you have more time for yourself and what you got to do, even for your family and what have you. But the paper does slow you down. If you have somebody asks you some information, but it's in a notepad in your office that you have to drive to go and get, right? Or drive down the road to go pay this bill and all that. You have to wait in line. The thing about the drive time, the time you're in line, you're waiting, but you can from your computer, your phone,
you save time.
Do that in a couple minutes.
What you also need both too.
Talking about saving
you
time.
need direct interaction, seeing the person facial
Yes,
expression.
So now we spend the time and we work on the interaction now with the working meetings. We bring out bring out some paper. In person, bring out paper too. It's okay to paper those meetings, because even now you can take that paper, take a screenshot of it, AI will turn it into the document. And fix it for you into a document. So the whole point about it is that we definitely need to increase the meetings in person.
Yes, for sure.
And town halls.
Yes.
Our board used to do town halls.
Because
So part of the
you see
media
board
plan
of
I'm drafting,
elections,
we have
their
to do
policy
that.
to rotate, and yet you have members fighting against each other.
Yeah.
That's why they did it, where they rotate between the two districts in person, because you do need to have people in the room.
So one of the things I did when I was deputy supervisor of elections for the St. Croix district is I updated the bylaws so that they could have online meetings, but it wasn't to have only online meetings.
No,
it was
it can be
it was to complement. It was
Exactly.
to complement. Basically different times we have to have emergency meetings, because online facilitates that much better, right?
Right.
And you still got to meet. I'm still, so some of my meetings with the principals, directors, and so on, and different stakeholders. Some are in person, online, more because of my ability to get back with us, go to St. Thomas in our district. But I'm going over there. We're going to do our school tours again, and we're going to make our school tour business as a board. One of the initiatives on the board for this school year is actually touring the schools, particularly focused on the CT classrooms.
So in terms of digital technology, would you like to see reference to that in the constitutional draft, and what language you wish to see in the preamble itself? I still have the let me announce the competition is still hard, because
I need to share with you, my students, we are on the US Constitution right now. That is it. I love government, right? But that is the longest chapter in the textbook, 42 pages to be exact, because we're studying the actual Constitution. We're really studying the U.S. Constitution, diving into it, dissecting the Bill of Rights, the amendments, the articles. Like, we're really diving into it. And one of the first things my students have to do, I got to share them with you, is they have to write a preamble.
preamble.
their own
Okay.
version of what the preamble of the U.S. Constitution would be. And so they had to write it. I have the email somewhere. I'll show you in just a second. But they had to do that, and I think it's important that students do that. Because this document, especially for the Virgin Islands, this document is what's going to be the supreme law of the Virgin Islands. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so we have to take a huge part in that, and that's why I wish that Rudel, Delegate Hodge, and Delegate Ban Daniel can't do that themselves. They can't promote the things of the Sixth Constitutional Convention by themselves, and they don't have to. Technology is
Mhm.
easy at your fingertips. You could go, even if you don't know how to make a flyer, you could put the information in AI flyer,
Yes.
and it makes a flyer for you. You just need to make sure everything is spelled correctly and everything you want it the way it is. But you could just go in there. You don't even type quick, and it'll give you a flyer one time. So it's not a matter of hard work. I think it's more of, do you want to get it done or not? I think it's now coming to that point because you're now being exposed. You're now having the resources. I wouldn't necessarily put technology per se in the Constitution per se. Why I would rather that be a policy thing that will
Going
be
back to the law,
drafted
yeah. Again,
by the
the
legislature.
legislature, sorry, our next governor will support senators. They even send out a legislation and all, right? The governor can send out legislation, get support.
Mhm.
We need digital. We need digital government.
Yeah, it needs to
Because
be.
even the point about the trees, man, and paper. I mean, I get into that
Yeah, right.
deforestation, and
Mhm.
it's like
That's
I'm like, when
from
are
an
we
ecological standpoint.
ecologically, and
Save
then
money.
furthermore, what happens with books and paper? They get
That's what I
mildew
said. The
and all that,
ebook
and they-
research that with
and then
Compton
we have
Dow
issue with
that proposed
mold
that
in our office
legislation.
and stuff like that too, right? So paper also has a timestamp. You know what I mean?
At some point, it turns brown
and all
it,
that. And
yeah,
I
makes-
listen, right now in my office, usually when I do it, I'm scanning. Definitely have a project for intern to do because I can tell you we have a lot of documents where I have to been put on a mask and all because I've been down that road. So we have to, and really and true, we're also getting sick in our own offices and even our own homes with certain paper and obviously the mold and in our various different offices. So I say all that to say, let's move in such a way where we're going to increase our efficiency, productivity, get back more of our time for ourselves, see how we can even reduce the work week. I do believe in that. And then giving people back the time for themselves and their families, and and
So
then
it's productivity.
Productivity would cut down the amount of time you do the work in, and then so then you now are on a journey where things are much easier. I can definitely tell you, I use technology to finish college in 3 years, definitely.
Wow.
Definitely. And I still hung out with my friends.
Well, I appreciate.
I still hung out with them.
Exactly.
But guess what? It's about that organizational management and
Right.
structure.
Organization.
But it
That's
also
key.
has to be taught. Some people are. I feel like I naturally, because I was using computers since I was 5 years old. So I've been into technology. I'm 42. Like it's just in me. You know what I mean? That's just a natural incline. My mom, she got a degree in technology. My son, interesting enough, he's interested in technology himself as well. Interested possibly pursuing a
I appreciate
career.
the work.
So there is an effort to increase technology.
I appreciate the work of the Sixth Constitutional Convention. However, I was really disappointed that it wasn't, the task wasn't completed.
I don't think it would have. I don't think it. We didn't see.
However,
they didn't really get into the work until a few months.
Every disappointment is a blessing because it gives me more time to promote it. And I know resources is an issue with the education and while you're trying to write and at the same time doing the marketing and all that. And I heard a caller to a talk show saying, hire him. He is going to promote it. Well, I want to say this. I want to assist in my way as a community activist. So I'm doing the educational part in terms of the process. They have to inform us what language they are putting there. They have to keep keep us abreast
Correct.
of their progress. So I think
But Verdell,
quarterly report should come out, print it so
correct.
everybody can see it in the newspaper. This is where we have accomplished so far. And at the same time, you have radio shows that the delegates could come to. They could come to mines at the table with Crucian Educator. But I'm still going to do my part, and it's not an interference with their task.
So going into the Constitution, if you remember with the fifth, right? As when I served, I explained to my colleagues that we should be holding committee of the whole hearings as part of the drafting process.
Yes.
And that they should continue to hear the town halls rather.
Yes.
In terms of after it's enacted. But folks, anyway, when they want to listen to me, they do. When they don't want to listen to me, they don't. It is what it is.
Well,
so now I'm glad to know that it's been extended, and now the Constitution Convention members have to enact a media strategy.
Exactly.
And they have to start to get out there. We need the town hall meetings.
Yeah.
Where you're bringing out print a few copies for those who want the print to bring some, that's what they get some monies for to print some paper, in terms of paper documents, and bring them out, have the town halls and vote districts, meet with the people, and guess what? Have working meetings, have the community have an opportunity. The same thing we did, for example, we did for the land and water use plan. So we broke out into working groups, and we mulled over the aspects of the plan. That's how the Constitution look. We should have all that input.
Everybody should be. It's a living document. Everybody's supposed to be involved, because if you don't have that input from the community, and I'm not putting any blame on the convention, because to me, they went in there and they already came into this atmosphere where people don't even want to participate in the election process. Okay, they don't even think. They don't see the government don't do nothing for me. I'm going to vote, and they don't see the importance of a constitution. So I'm just going to play that role, not doing their job to inform the public what has been accomplished, but the civic education, the process, why we need a constitution.
But they need to get out to, they need town halls, for example, using the Great Hall.
Of course. They need to inform us what's going on, what are they doing, because then it's being perceived by many people it's a waste of time and money, because we're back again. The Fifth Constitutional Convention did the same thing. Requested more time, requested more money. And what was the result? But we could learn from our mistakes. So I'm just talking about the process involving us getting the Constitution and why we need a Constitution. All of us could be engaged.
Yes.
We could do our part because you all are educators. So it's not interfering with their job, because I know that's a massive undertaking when you actually drafting the document and at the same time you have to be educating. And you notice none of the delegates educated the people prior to the election of the process. Never mention anything about Public Law 94-584. So we as educators, we got to do our part in civic education. It's not just in the classroom.
Exactly.
It's every day. Well, it's now 9:01. I want to thank both of you, and we got to do this again.
Yes.
For those of you listening, remember now you can go join my Facebook group, Virgin Islands Affairs Forum. Immerse yourself virtually in the political, educational, historical, cultural, and social affairs of the Virgin Islands of the United States. We can learn from each other. We could all do our part in making the Virgin Islands a better place. And let's give tribute to those that serve.
Yes.
It's not that saying happy, like somebody said, you don't say happy Veterans Day. You just say thank you for the services that you have done. And thank you for, thank everybody who's doing their part in making the Virgin Islands of the United States a better place. So give your final thoughts, Genevieve, and then Anthony.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, Verdell, and thank you all who are listening and also viewing. It was really a pleasure to be here, and I would encourage you to really follow us on this journey of CTE. Definitely engage with us. We will be going through a lot of different communications efforts and going through that process of reaching out and getting your input, as well as I also want to also recognize our veterans today. At Veterans Day, we pay tribute to you, to all the Virgin Islands veterans, so all the veterans of the United States of the United States of America, and we hope one day also too that our rights are recognized as Virgin Islanders as well in the process of even respecting our work and in the military. Thank you so much, and look forward to coming back again.
Thank you again, Verdell, for always giving us the opportunity to come and be on the show. It's always an open door policy, so thank you. I do share the same sentiments. Thank you, veterans, for your service. I actually work with a veteran. One of my colleagues is a veteran, so I understand the importance that they've done for our country to keep the freedoms and rights that we have. So I want to thank them for their service and to just continue following us, like Edie Whitaker said, on the journey of CTE. Our next board meeting is next week, Wednesday, from 4 until it usually ends around 6 o'clock. It's 2 hours usually. And then tomorrow, also tune in to the legislature. It's going to be all things education, and the third block is talking about the career and technical college. So I really want people to invest and pay attention, and I look forward to being back. This is from your secretary. Thank you.
Live, listen, learn, love, and levitate. Thank you. Okay. What? Oh, jeez. I keep forgetting not to do this. I don't like how these two phones are